welcome to Children's Time. I don't know what the weather's like today for you. It's just been coming from beautiful weather, ready to go out and plant all those plants and enjoy spring, to rainy, kind of almost snowy days that we don't know what to do with. Well, today's story in the Bible from Luke 24 is about the apostles' reaction when Jesus comes back from the dead. He died on the cross and then he was resurrected and came back. And they could understand him dying. That was in their experiences. But when he came back, they didn't know what to do with that. Is he going to stay? Is he leaving? Is he real? Is he just in our imagination? And I kind of think it's like this rope here, where this is Jesus who has died, and they don't understand that this is Jesus now. He's the same. He's died, but he's also here. So today's story is called God's Paintbrush, and it's a very sweet story from the view of children and how they see God. And they have a wonderful imagination. They can imagine this, and I think you'll really enjoy the story. And then we'll talk about it afterwards. Thank you.
God's Paintbrush by Sandy Eisenberg Sasso, illustrated by Annette Compton. Sometimes I think the clouds are made of white cotton balls of cotton yarn, God's way of painting pictures in the sky. And then a big wind comes and blows the picture away like a giant eraser. A sunbeam peeked in my window this morning and painted a rainbow on my wall. I think the sunbeam is God's paintbrush dipped in a watercolor sea, painting clouds and coloring our world. What color would you paint the world today? Sometimes I imagine that when it gets very dark at night and the flowers, trees, and mountains and oceans are afraid, I wonder if God made the stars for them to go to bed with and the moon to be their nightlight. When are you afraid? What makes you feel better? Sometimes when the clouds look gray and dark, I think they are angry or sad, and the rain I think is God's tears. Sometimes the oceans make giant waves with white foam on their tops. I imagine that pleases God, and that God then laughs. When the fizz on my favorite ice cream soda tickles my nose, it makes me laugh. Maybe it makes God laugh too. What makes you cry and laugh? What do you think would make God cry or laugh? Yesterday, our class played kickball. I fell while running to first base and scraped my knee. It really hurt. The school nurse put a bandage over the scrape, and in a few days, it was all better. Last month, my best friend had to move away. I was sad. I hurt inside. My dad said, "We can visit in the summer, and we can write letters or call on the telephone when we miss each other a lot." What Dad said made me feel better, but when I think of my best friend far away, I still hurt a little. I wonder if God hurts and what might help God feel better. Maybe I could be God's friend. My mom hugged me. I'm not sure why. One of the things I like about my mom is her hands. When I was just a baby, my mom says her hands rocked the cradle so I wouldn't cry. I wonder if God's hands would rock a cradle. I have lots of things that belong to me. They're mine, and I don't like anyone messing with them. Sometimes I think God belongs to me, and then I'm surprised or frightened, and I say, "My God!" But then I think, no one can own God. God doesn't belong to anyone. We belong to God. I wonder if God has a big lap to curl up in just like my mom's, and strong arms just like Dad's to lift me up and catch me when I fall. I wonder if God has strong hands to hold me tight just like Mom's, and big shoulders just like Dad's to carry me when I'm tired. Sometimes I like to play hide and seek with my best friend. We count to 10 and then start looking. But today, my friends got tired of looking and went away before they found me. I felt very lonely. And on Monday, I broke my mom's face. I was scared, and I hid behind the large sofa in our living room. And Mom came home and was glad when she found me, and I felt lonely all by myself. Sometimes I think God hides, and we don't want to look for God because we're just too busy or too afraid. God must feel terribly lonely then, too. Sometimes I think God is just like my dad when he holds the back seat of my brand new two-wheel bike, just long enough for me to catch my balance. Then he lets go, and I ride all by myself. But it's nice to know he's running alongside me. Sometimes I think God is just like my mom when she helps me look both ways in crossing the street and then lets me go all the way by myself. But it's nice to know she's still watching me at the corner. When the wind blows warm, making grass, trees, and flowers dance, it makes my hair brush against my face. I think the wind is God's breath moving through the world and making it come alive. I think that God's breath moves through me too. That makes me special, having a little bit of God inside of me. That makes everyone special, having God's breath inside of them. We can make words and music with God's breath. Walking home this afternoon, I heard the wind whistle, a dog bark, a bird chirp, and a baby cry. All these sounds, some soft, some loud, they are God's song. When I go to bed at night, I hold a soft, furry teddy, and my mom gives me a big hug, and my dad gives me a big hug, and all these good feelings just make me feel so good. When I help a friend, when I make someone smile, I think I am part of God's dance. Can you dance God's dance? My friend is great at math. She always gets 100 on her tests. My brother is captain of his basketball team. He always gets home runs. Sometimes when I get lots of red X's all over my math paper, I think I'd like to be just like my friend. When I get up to bat and strike out, I think I'd like to be just like my brother. But I think I enjoy gymnastics. I can do one-handed cartwheels, and I am glad to be me. Perhaps God gave each of us a special gift that makes us different from anyone else. And when we share that gift, wow, God is so happy. Today our school went for a hike. The sky looked like a lemon meringue pie. The fields of flowers seemed like layers of orange, red, and purple jelly beans. The vines looked just like giant jump ropes, and the hills like slippery slides. The branches of the trees made a fantastic jungle gym. I wonder if God likes lemon meringue pie and jelly beans. Sometimes my parents tell me to eat more green vegetables and fewer jelly beans. Maybe they are right. I just still like pink lemonade jelly beans the best. I wonder if God likes to play, and sometimes grown-ups don't want to play because they're too busy or too tired. I think that makes God sad. I think God likes to play. In September, a new boy came to school, and during recess, nobody picked him for the soccer team. At lunch, he ate all by himself. What I remember most about his were his eyes. They looked so sad. My teacher had us all do a mural one day. The new boy helped me draw a lion. He is a great artist. Maybe we will be friends. My teacher watched us working together, and what I remember most about my teacher were her eyes. They looked very happy. Sometimes on a bright day when I close my eyes very tight, I can see all kinds of colors, green and purple and red and blue. I think these are just like God's colors. I know God's colors are in me too, and I can paint with God's paintbrush.
Wasn't that a beautiful story? I love the pictures and the way that the little child asks questions as well as has such an imagination. And as she describes different ways that she sees God in her everyday world. A lot of times children ask questions about God very directly, and it's a little overwhelming for parents because they're not sure how to answer them. But just like the apostles just couldn't kind of picture or imagine this very different world of Jesus being there and dead and then back again. Children have a better way of seeing this, and I particularly love the way this little girl said, "Sometimes I think God belongs to me, and I say, 'My God,' but then I think God doesn't belong to anyone. We belong to God." And then she says, "I wonder if God has big hands like my mother to hold me tight when I'm scared." What a beautiful book. So I hope you enjoy it, and perhaps you'll find a child to read it to also. So have a blessed day. Thank you for staying with me for so long. It's been really wonderful. Sorry, I'm not sick. I just have allergies, I guess. And I also want to thank the dollar store sermons. It's online, and he has the most creative things that get me going. So that's where my trick came from. And next week, you'll see something else that he also taught me, which is pretty amazing. All right. Have a blessed week, and thank you again for joining me.